Good afternoon. A very warm welcome from my side, distinguished guests, commissioners, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to start this conference with a story. It is a story of suffering, but it is also a story of justice. It is set not far from here, in a tribunal hall in the Netherlands. Just last month, the trial against the alleged ringleader of an international smuggling network began. And in the packed courthouse, the victims of these alleged crimes had a chance to speak up. They testified about the unspeakable violence they suffered on their trip from Africa to Europe. It was a litany of horror stories, torture, rape, starvation, murder, weeks and months of systematic abuse. Nothing can erase the memory of such suffering. But today, the criminal network responsible for those crimes has been dismantled. So there's hope that justice will be served. And this is thanks to strong international cooperation. European and African countries have joined forces, from the Netherlands to Italy, the UK, Libya, Ethiopia, you just name it, many, many more. It was a global team effort. And this is the spirit that brings us here today. 2 years ago, we pledged to build a global alliance to counter migrant smuggling. And our guiding principle here in the European Union is that we Europeans decide who comes to Europe and crosses our borders and under what circumstances, and not the smugglers and traffickers. So in the last 2 years, the European Union has overhauled its migration policy. Just this week, after intense work, we adopted the first ever solidarity measures. These kickstart the implementation of our Pact on Migration and Asylum. The Council also adopted a common position on returns and safe countries. This opens the door for negotiations with the European Parliament, and I welcome these crucial milestones. These are more examples of how Europe is managing migration responsibly. And the figures speak for themselves. Since the start of this year, numbers have fallen by 26% on key routes, and this is on top of the 37% drop on the same routes in 2024. And we are fighting the smugglers and traffickers with all means. Last year alone, we seized more than 12 million euros of illegal assets in Europe, from boats to firearms. But I must say, unraveling the networks remains extremely challenging. It's not, as you know, enough to target one link in the smuggling chain. We must go after the entire network. And this is why at this conference we take the global alliance to the next level. Today we are endorsing a joint declaration. It is a blueprint to bring an end to the migrant smuggling business model across the world. And as you know, it is built on 3 principles. The first is we must prevent the journeys offered by the migrant smugglers. The second pillar is we must respond to the smugglers' evolving business model. And finally, the third pillar, we must show potential victims that there are always safer alternatives. Now on the first point, our goal is to prevent the illegal journeys offered by migrants, by smugglers. Every smuggling trip avoided is potentially a life saved. And prevention is a vital part of the comprehensive partnership we are building. The core of these partnerships is to attract investment and build local jobs so that many more of your citizens can find opportunities at home. And as we do so, we also invest more in migration management, in border control, in the fight against smuggling. In parallel, we must do more to warn people about the risks of illegal crossings. And this is why we want to join forces with you on rapid response information campaigns, each tailored to the local audience and deployed at short notice. And there, countries of origin have a crucial role to play to help design these campaigns in an effective manner and ensure they speak directly to those who need to hear this message and hear that the alternative is always the better choice. Most of these risky trips are advertised online, and this is why the digital dimension of our work is key. For years, we have worked with digital platforms to target online drug trafficking, to target terrorist propaganda, to target child abuse. Now, since last May, we're doing the same on migrant smuggling, because what's illegal offline must be illegal online. Europol is developing a new operational guidance to detect smuggling content online. And this should help law enforcement agencies to take action against smugglers. And yes, we see already that our efforts on digital smuggling are working. Just 2 months ago, Europol brought together experts from European and partner countries, and together they identified social media profiles linked to smugglers. They uncovered critical new leads to the gangs, and they caused large-scale disruption to the business of the smugglers. And we need more actions just like these, joint actions. And Europol is ready absolutely to work with you to identify the hashtags, the keywords, the images that the smugglers are using for their abhorrent campaigns. And, of course, our intention is to stop them before it's too late. And together we can drive these gangs offline, and that means if we drive these gangs offline, we drive them out of business. The second pillar of our alliance is a stronger response to the crime of smuggling. When we last met, we pledged to strengthen the resources that Europe invests in this, and this is happening. Europol will get more funding and more staff. The European Centre Against Migrant Smuggling will have an enhanced role with liaison officers in our partner countries. And we will propose to make Frontex stronger by tripling its border force to 30,000 officers. Because secure borders are vital to manage migration fairly and safely. But as the smugglers' operating models evolves, so must also, of course, our response. For instance, we must get better at following the money back to the gangs. This is how we locate the smugglers. This is how we can cut off their financial flows. And this is how we can seize their ill-gotten gains. Through our alliance, we have started to pool our expertise. So now we have to take this expertise up to the next level. Because the criminals are getting better at covering their tracks. So we want to work more closely together along the smuggling routes to tackle this illicit financial flows and underground banking. In other words, what they encrypt, we have to decode. What they hide, we have to trace. Let's cut their sources of funding and root out migrant smuggling. Now, after we identify this information, we must be able also, of course, to act. So we need stronger legal tools to dismantle this criminal business. And this is why Europe is developing a stringent new sanctions regime against smugglers. This is all in coordination with our G7 partners. We want to be able to freeze the smugglers' assets, to destroy their very financial basis, but also, for example, to issue travel bans so that we can restrict their movements. And our goal is very simple. We want to bankrupt their business through all means available. Smugglers are also changing their models of transport. We see also there a change of tactics. Traditionally, as you know, they have used private boats and trucks. We see by now commercial transport is increasingly being used. So we must engage closely with transport companies on key routes. And I think recently we had a significant breakthrough under European leadership. Thanks to our initiative, the International Airline Regulator, ICAO, will now step up its efforts to prevent migrant smuggling and illegal migration. That's a big step forward. Air transport carrier operators and airports will work more closely together with law enforcement just to deter illegal flows and help people in need. And I want to thank you, all of you here in this room, because this initiative was supported by many, many of you. And it shows that when we stand together, cooperation really works and can deliver. So, ladies and gentlemen, when people cross borders illegally, they don't just risk their life. Too often they fall prey to labor exploitation afterwards, with no rights, no protection. This is a form of modern slavery. And we must do more to fight it here in Europe. Like, for example, giving the European Labour Authority a powerful new mandate to help member states stamp out labour exploitation. But we must also develop better alternatives to putting one's life in smugglers' hands. That's the challenge of today, both in the countries of origin and in the countries of destination. And this is the so important third pillar of our alliance. With Global Gateway, Europe is not only creating good jobs across the world, we are also investing massively in skills and vocational training, because we think this is how we can help young people of today to become basically the entrepreneurs of tomorrow. And therefore, we must open more safe pathways, legal pathways to Europe. We must create more bridges between our continents. We must make sure that people can find a job where their talent is needed, match the skills, bring skills across our borders. And this is at the heart of our new talent partnership, which offer work routes into Europe. So far, 5 countries have signed up to them, and we hope that more of you will follow. This is such an important model to work on. We have just agreed to create a new talent pool. It will match the European employers and their needs with the non-European job seekers and their skills. And actually, we're launching the pilot of a gateway office in India, so that this will offer opportunities to work in Europe legally. And it could be a blueprint for partnership with other countries if we do it well. So the point is here. We have plenty of good ideas for legal mobility, but only together can we make this work. This approach is, I think, I'm deeply convinced, a win-win for Europe and all our partners in our alliance. People can develop new skills. They can find new opportunities at home. But it also gives the young people a chance to thrive. And it makes Europe more competitive. It makes Europe more attractive to innovative talent. So by working in partnerships, we have found safe alternatives to the lethal criminal smuggling networks. So, distinguished guests, we all have one common goal. The common goal is to drive the smugglers out of business, to save the lives of thousands of people who dream of a better life. I know this is still a long way to go, and it's a bumpy road without a question. But our alliance is growing. So from today, the alliance moves to a more formal structure with a permanent secretariat and permanent funding to better match our growing ambitions. We will deepen our links with like-minded organizations like the G7, like the Council of Europe or the United Nations agencies. And I would like to call on other countries and organizations who share our commitment to join our efforts, to endorse the declaration. So, thank you very much for being here. Let me wish you a very fruitful conference, and I'm looking forward to the work that is being done. Thank you so much.